welcome here. I'm Shija Mesia. I'll be today covering up a topic analysis of predicate. Yet another basic grammar it is. So let's begin over here. Now when we say predicate, it should click you. Which sentence has predicate? Yes, you guessed it right. Simple sentence. We have done the simple sentences before also. You can see the link down, okay, in the description box. What is simple sentence? Simple sentence has a subject and a predicate. We have done in detailing over the predicate always begins with a finite verb, and it may have a object, it may have a phrase, or it may have a complement. Today in this lecture what we are doing is only we are going to study in detail what the predicate contains. That is, in the predicate, finite verb is compulsory. It has a finite verb. With that finite verb, whether it is carrying an object, or whether it has a complement, or whether it has a adverbial phrase. That's what we are going to see in this particular lecture. Let's begin here. As I told you, predicate, we are doing analysis of predicate. The predicate always have finite verb. I hope you all know what is finite verb by this time. What is finite verb? All the present, past and future form of the action verb, as well as all the state verb, that is of to be form, to do form and to have form. Again, go into this first lecture of finite verbs and verb forms, which I have given the link in the description box. Now, predicate always begins with finite verb. Now, this finite verb can have object. Now, this we are going to say whether it may have object, it may have complement, or it may have an adverbial phrase. So, we are going to see in this is analysis of what the predicate contains. Whether it contains object, whether it is containing complement, or whether it containing adverbial. With tips and tricks I'll explain you, so it will be very easy. See now, a predicate carries an object. You know, when this is a trick I am going to explain you. You know, where a predicate carries an object when it has an finite verb in action form. That is, you know, action like, you know, cut, observes, watch, any action form, RV form, or in any tense form. It can be simple present, it can be in any tense form, past, future, or in any aspect, but it should have an action verb. And if there is an object, you can frame the question what or whom. See, now this is a easiest way to understand whether the predicate is having a object. What is the first criteria? The finite verb is in action form. Alright, action verb is there, and the question asked is what or whom. Example. With example, it will be very easy for you all to do. She wants a cup of coffee. See, she wants a cup of coffee. See the finite verb, wants. It is an action verb. She wants what? A cup of coffee. So, this particular predicate has the object, a cup of coffee. Did you all understand the technique? The trick is, action verb रहेगा और कोई भी tense form में हो सकता है, but then it will have an object, and the question asked is what or whom. See the next example. I was informed by the police. I was informed by the police. Again, if you see the verb here, was finite verb hai, and there is an action verb informed. Okay, so here it is was informed. Again, an action verb is a informed. I was informed by whom? It is the police. So this police is an object. I hope you all have understood. Basically, remember, predicate has an object when the verb is in action form. See, this is another example. They are calling their friends. They are calling their friends. If you see here, they are calling their friends. If you see in this, you will see here, they are calling whom? They are calling their friends. And you see the verb over here. This is in present continuous form having an action verb calling. So this is also an object. So their friends is an object in this sentence. I hope you all have understood what is predicate when it carries an object. Easy trick. What is it? You have to see whether it is an action verb is there. Action verb there. And the question asked is what or whom, and you are getting an answer. It is a object. Okay, let's go for the next one. When you say a predicate is carrying a complement, when you say that predicate is having a complement, very easy. Finite verb to रहना ही चाहिए for the predicate to begin. But this finite verb is in the form of state verb form. यानी कि here you will find the verb in state form. Now what is a state form? It is all primary auxiliary verb. Primary auxiliary verb. Again you must know what is primary auxiliary verb. There is no action verb in this. It is only primary auxiliary verb. What is a primary auxiliary verb? It is am, is, are, was, were, has, have, had, will be, shall be, will have, shall have. Like that, primary auxiliary verb is there. Only primary auxiliary verb is there. Then it is complement. Okay, now let's see the example of predicate with complement, or predicate that carrying complement. What did I say? Complement has auxiliary verb. There will be no action verb in this. That's a differentiation between object and complement. See now, my brother is an Air Force personnel. Is a finite verb, and you see here there is no action verb. My brother is what? He is an Air Force personnel. So here is a primary auxiliary verb. That means you remember state verb here, like primary auxiliary verb without any action verb. That means that predicate is carrying a complement. You won't say an Air Force personnel is an object. Here you will say it is a complement to the verb is. Did you all get it here? See the next example. He will be a doctor. He will be a doctor. Here also the verb is will be. But is there any action verb here? No. It's a state verb telling about the future. Will be. He will be what? A doctor. See, the question asked for complement and object is both the same. What and whom. But here you remember, complement, there will be no action verb. Okay. He will be what? He will be a doctor. See the next example. They have a pet dog. Here the verb is have. But is there any action verb in this? No. It is again showing a state. They have what? They have a pet dog. So here this you don't say pet dog. You won't say it is an object. You will say it is a complement. So remember, predicate can only carries complement when there is primary auxiliary verb with no action verb in it. So that's the differentiation between object and complement. Okay, now let's go for the third part of the predicate when it carries adverbial phrase. Alright, now the last part of this lecture we are going to see is predicate when it takes an adverbial phrase. Very easy here. In this case, you cannot frame a what question or whom question. It's very easy. Like for predicate for the object, you can ask a question what and whom, and there is an action verb. For predicate having a complement, again what or whom question you can frame, and it has a primary auxiliary verb. Whereas in predicate having a adverbial phrase, you cannot frame what or whom. But all the other questions you can frame, like how, when, where, why, like that. Basically you remember adverbial phrase means it is adding meaning to the verb in that particular sentence. See this example. She came early for the party. Now, came is a finite verb. Then what is this entire stuff? Early for the party. Can it be an object? Can it be a complement, or can it be an adverbial phrase? Now to rule out, you ask a question what or whom, because what or whom is common for object and the complement, what and whom. Okay, so you ask a question, she came what? You cannot frame, I mean that question itself is ridiculous and you are not getting an answer early for the party. She came whom? Again it doesn't suit that question itself, you cannot frame and you are not getting the answer. So this is not an object nor a complement. So the third case is it can only be a phrase. Now how you can, I mean the grammatical way or the conceptual way. When did she come? See here the question is you are able to frame the question. When did she come? For the answer is she came early for the party. So early for the party is telling for that question when. Alright, so this is a adverbial phrase. Understood the differentiation, how you can differentiate between an object, a complement and a phrase. See the next example. He sings gracefully. Sings is a finite verb. So what this gracefully could be? So again rule out whether it is a object or a complement. He sings what? You can frame the question, but gracefully, does it answer you? No. He sings whom? Again, you can frame the question, but is that question answered by the word gracefully? No. So neither it is an object nor a complement. So it could be, and it is actually a phrase. How he sings? He sings gracefully. So gracefully is the adverbial one. See the next example. They cried bitterly. Again, the finite verb is cried. Now, the word left after this is bitterly. Now, we have to see whether it is an adverbial phrase, adverb or a object or a complement. They cried what? No, you are not getting an answer bitterly. They cried whom? No, you are not getting an answer. They cried. Why? How did they cry? They cried bitterly. So, bitterly is an adverbial phrase or it is taking the function of a adverbial. So, this is what we are done with today's lecture. That means we are doing analysis of predicate. Predicate, you all know what it is. It always begins with finite verb. Now this finite verb can carry an object, it can carry a complement or it can have a phrase. Now we are analyzing that, in this lecture we analyze that whether it is having an object or a complement or a phrase. So for an object, the question, it is always what and whom. And the verb will be always having an action verb in it. Okay, in whichever tense it is, will do, but it will have an action verb. How you recognize a complement? A complement is always, again the question asked is what and whom, but here you remember there is no action verb. Only primary auxiliary verb is used, like am, is, was, were, has, have, had, will have, will. This way only the action verb, there will be no action verb, only the primary auxiliary verb. And for adverbial phrase, what you have to see, there is no question framed by what and whom. All the other question can be framed. So that is adverbial phrase. I hope you all have understood this topic and you have liked this lecture too. So please do subscribe this channel as well as share it with your friends and relatives. I'll be giving you a question session. Freeze the video or just take a screenshot, do the exercise and then check the answer of this, which I will show it in the end of this video. Chalo, bye.